Dr. Kyle Becker was only 12 years old when he first learned how to artificially inseminate the cows on his family's Indiana dairy farm. And today, as a veterinarian with Heritage Vet Partners, he's working with new diagnostic technology that can identify disease in hours instead of waiting days for laboratory results. That fast turnaround could change how quickly veterinarians and dairy producers respond to sick cattle and manage outbreaks. In this episode, Dr. Becker explains how this technology works, where he sees veterinary medicine heading, and how his experience as a farm kid, cattle producer, and father keep his approach practical and grounded. All this right here today on the Uplevel Dairy Podcast. Welcome to the Uplevel Dairy Podcast. This is the podcast for dairy producers and professionals who are committed to moving our industry forward. I'm Peggy Coffeen, and each week we bring you the leaders, the lessons, and real-world stories from the people who have built the dairy business we know today and those who are shaping its future. Join us on the journey by following Uplevel Dairy on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and subscribe at upleveldairy.com to get new episodes and our Dairy Insights blogs right in your inbox. Heritage Vet Partners is the nation's leading veterinary partnership specializing in mixed and large animal practices. Heritage Vet Partners provides a unique partnership model that preserves local practice legacies, serving dairy and other livestock producers and companion animal owners through shared services, data, and strategic growth. Learn more at heritagevetpartners.com. Well, Dr. Kyle Becker, great to be here with you in Indiana today.
Yes, thank you. We picked a beautiful day.
We sure did. We sure did. And you and I were just chatting before we went online here, but you were describing yourself in the disc profile. And,
yes, ma'am.
And you're not the typical veterinarian disc profile.
No, ma'am.
How are you? What's the normal, and how are you different?
Yeah, so in veterinary medicine, there are, to begin, the disc profile, there's D's, I's, S's, and C's. And I is for influence or influencer. And the vast majority of veterinarians are D's, and D's and S's and D's and C's. And so my personality profile just is basically countercultural or a mirror image of what a normal veterinarian would be. So especially when you put me in a group of veterinarians, I will always stick out. And for sure, if you ask other veterinarians about me, that will be the first thing that they'll say is that his personality is not what is typical of a normal veterinarian. I really thrive on team building and brainstorming and trying new things, and veterinarians they tend to like things really rigid and black and white, and I rarely see something as black and white, and so I'm always willing to listen, always willing to think outside of the box, and so that makes me a little bit just kind of a different take on how I practice veterinary medicine.
Yeah, and so that that's that social side. That's a little more on the extroverted side.
Yes, ma'am.
Compared to a lot of vets that fall into that high drive, high analytical as their top strengths in that disc profile.
Yeah.
But you have this unique spot that you play in, especially with the Heritage Group, because your influential side allows you to bring people together. And that's a lot of what you do within that team, but also within the clients that you serve. We're going to get into that in just a moment here, Kyle. But before we do, I want to learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I grew up on a kind of a standard. We had 80 head of milk cows. We raised all our own replacements. We had just over 1,000 acres, tillable pasture and woods. And we were just kind of a typical Indiana dairy farm. When I was 7, my grandfather, who would have kind of been the patriarch of the family, passed away of a heart attack one morning, and it's one of the 2 times in my entire life that I remember my dad waking me up. And so I mean, it's just kind of the way I remember it is I mean, Dad came in, Mom had apparently gone with the ambulance that took Grandpa, and Dad came in, woke me up, and said, Grandpa passed away this morning, and I need you to come feed calves. And so that's kind of how it got started. From that time on, I mean, I had Chores. I went to AI school when I was 12. Wasn't tall enough to breed Holsteins, so they went to an ABS school, and when they realized I was 12, they called and got in 4 Jersey cull cows so that I could practice breeding some Jersey cows. And yeah, I came home from AI school. Dad sold the bull and built me a step so that I could breed Holstein cows until I grew up. And I was always the cow guy on the farm. My grandfather had been the cow guy, and Dad had always done a lot more on the cropping side. Did that all the way up through college. And then as soon as I went to Purdue, then pretty much the cows were for sale. So my mother told me I wasn't allowed to milk cows for a living. And so I ended up going to Purdue. And then I'd always enjoyed the medicine side of livestock production. And so veterinarian was my first choice, and then nutrition or dairy consulting would have been my backup. But that's kind of a little bit about how I got to where I am and kind of what built me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And truly, Kyle, when you recount that story, it's kind of that, little boy wakes up and now he's one of the men of the farm.
Right. Yeah. Now, right. And the reality is that my kids are, we're kind of the same way now. Yeah. So my last week we sold 52 head of fats, and my 11-year-old and my 9-year-old, I mean, we sorted 1,700 pound steers. And the boys are actually, they're getting pretty good at it. And so, yeah. So, I mean, the reality is that's who I have to go sort steers with, and so,
yeah.
So, yep.
So they're learning young, just like you did.
Just like I did, yeah.
Yeah, taking responsibility and stepping up and also learning the ropes of animal husbandry, just like you did when you were a kid too.
Yep.
And 12 years old, you went to AI school.
Yeah.
That's something. What was it? Okay, as a 12-year-old, was this your idea or?
Well, of course, the whole entire story goes that there was a dairy producer in our county, well-respected dairy producer, and Dad had bought breeding bulls from him for a long time, and bought a young bull that summer, and that bull just had an attitude, and so he that bull would try to keep the cows from going up on the concrete to go to the parlor. And so then, of course, as the kid, I'm the guy, Dad's setting up the parlor, so I go bring cows in. Mm-hmm. Well, that bull chased me out of the pasture one day, and so I remember Mother coming out of the house with the gun, and she's like, Steve, the deal is the bull goes, or, the kids aren't going into pasture with him anymore. And so Dad said, well, if that's the deal, semen tanks don't kill kids. And so he's like, somebody's going to have to breed these cows, and Dad wasn't going to breed the cows. So, and it was an interest of mine, I mean, because I was the cow guy, right?
Yeah.
Dad was cropping.
Yeah.
And I was the cow guy. And so it was just kind of the obvious choice. Yeah, so I had a $1,000 budget for semen. So yeah, I had a Holstein Red Book subscription, and I would go through my Holstein Red Book with a highlighter, And I had to use a lot of young sires because I had to get 80 head of cows pregnant for $1,000 a year. And so I used a lot of young sires. And of course, back then we didn't have genomics. We didn't have good calving ease data. We had, zero fertility data. And so, I used old bulls that had already passed their peak, and the semen companies wanted to discount the semen, and then I used a lot of young sires.
So you used mating, you learned mating and budgeting all at the same
All
time.
at the same time, yeah. I used, bulls that when they released were $30 and $40 bulls. I mean, I used them when they were $6 bulls.
Whatever made you decide to be a vet?
The first veterinarian, our first farm veterinarian was Dr. Larry LeMay, and I feel like I was around 9. He said, Kyle, you need to learn how to dehorn, castrate. You need to learn how to tube calves, treat calves. And so I was proficient using an esophageal feeder. I could dehorn, castrate, vaccinate. And Dr. LeMay was at the very end of his career. And what's kind of funny about veterinary medicine back then is it was very regionalized. Like, Dr. LeMay had his practice area, and it was basically 5 or 6 miles in a radius of Cambridge City, Indiana, and that was his practice radius. And so, so I remember him coming to my dad and saying, I need to phase out, the livestock portion of my business. I'm getting older. I want to go to Florida. I want to do more cats and dogs. And so I really want Kyle to work with Dr. Craig Kurtz at Hagerstown. So Dr. Greg became my veterinarian. And that's been my joke for many, many years, is that GK has been my vet since I was 12. And I have a lot of days where, it goes through my head, what would GK do? What would Greg Kurtz do? In this particular situation, he is an excellent veterinarian, has a lot of years and a lot of miles underneath him. And so there's a lot of wisdom to be gleaned from his entire life's practice.
Yeah.
But Kurtz is with Heritage as well, and so we're back together again. So that's
united,
really really exciting. Yeah. Cool. I graduated on a Saturday. I started work at Kurtz Veterinary Clinic on Monday morning, and there it was a lot of service work. We'd even originally planned that when I started, I'd ride with Greg for a couple of weeks. We weren't going to put anything on my book right away.
Yeah.
Let's get your truck set up. Let's get your feet wet. Well, I'm going to call it 9:15, 9:30 Monday morning. Bill Powell calls, and I knew Bill. I'd helped at Bill's for many years. Cows and calves got pink eye. I had a calf on Dalton Road. It walked through the fence because it's blind. It can't see. So we need to get these cows in and go treat them for pink eye. And I just remember Greg going, well, you can do that. And I'm like, yes, boss man, I can go treat pink eye. And so I backed the truck up to the chute. I headed to Bill's, and I never rode a single day with him again. The book just started filling up.
So that was the on-the-job training.
That was the on-the-job training.
Hour.
Yeah.
Well,
we started at 7:30.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
It was an hour and
2.5 hour onboarding.
I got most of the things in my truck. Started getting my truck set up, got some needles and syringes in there. And so that was my onboarding. But then as my wife and I wanted to have children, my wife wanted to stay home. So then I knew, I need to try to basically double my income. And so that's when we made the decision that I would leave Kurtz's and I'd just go out on my own. And I needed clients that, that could IV their own milk fevers, pull most of their own calves. For real, true medical emergencies, I could be available. But there wasn't, that structure where you've got 2 or 3 or 4 vets in a clinic where you can do a lot of service work for what I would call your non-professional livestock owners. So pretty much when I left Kurtz, I only worked for clients that are professional livestock people. And so that for sure shifts your practice mentality. And so I just kind of began, to adapt how I practice to the fact that these guys are already professionals. And so, my job is to observe and to consult, and again, it kind of goes back to my personality. I love teams and collaboration, right? And as dairy farmers came out of the parlor and employees went into the parlor, there became the owner-employee disconnect, right? Because, dairy farmers know milk cows. They do not know employees. And so a lot of what I do today is just being the liaison between ownership and the herds people. And I think a lot of the veterinarians in the group would say the same thing, is that and I've taken calls this week from producers that I don't know actually who owns the cattle. They raise, they're a custom raiser for someone. I have no relationship with that person, and so I approach it from, what is the problem that the customer is presenting, and then what are some reasonable solutions to address their concern.
Yeah, so a real problem-solving approach, and that's kind of your thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that is what I thrive on. Yeah, bring me your problems, and we'll brainstorm on it, and I'll bring in other. I have no problem bringing in other points of view, and I thoroughly enjoy sifting through different veterinarians' ideas. I'll present anybody's idea, to an ownership group. Present the pros and cons. Here's what I think we're doing really well. Here's what I think our challenges are. Here's what I see as some mitigating steps for our challenges. What do you guys think?
So this is that facilitator coming out in you.
Yes, ma'am.
The connector of people and the provider of solutions for problems, or connecting people to solve problems.
Yeah.
What's something you've ran into lately where you were able to really be in that zone with solving a problem for one of your clients? Anything that really stands out?
Yeah. Of course, you would hit on It's been a big week for problems.
It's been a big week.
Yes, it's been a very big week for problems. But one of the development groups I'm on there's a company called Krishi that has a technology that the actual hardware itself is named the SHERPA Vision, and we can take a simple nasal swab and identify antibiotic resistance found in that particular animal.
Wow.
Correct. It's very powerful technology. And so, for example, Monday morning I get a phone call from a calf raiser who's, I'm going to say he's mid-50s. He's been doing it since he was a kid. Jake, there's not a lot of things that are going to really rattle him, right? He's been through salmonella outbreaks and mycoplasma. He's been through.
Been through
it all. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot that's really going to rattle him. But he had a rough weekend. Like last week, we had a lot of heat, and it was a rough weekend, and so Monday morning he was kind of done. And so I get the phone call, and him and we've talked, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And and he starts telling me, here's everything I'm treating the sick ones with. Here's the fevers. Here's how they're eating. Here's, the entire signalment. He does a very good job of presenting over the phone, what he's seeing in his calves. And he's done it long enough. I mean, I trust that there's probably not a lot he's missing. And I said, well, those calves were being treated at that time. The clinical calves were being treated with 3 classes of antibiotics, and there was 2 classes of antibiotics in the water. And he could not seem to make any headway on it. And I said, well, we're gonna have to try to get some of these calves tested, and see what antibiotic resistance you've got, and get them on the appropriate antibiotic, because as a veterinarian, you kind of gasp thinking, that's a lot of antibiotics. I'm thinking, the normal gut flora they have to basically be sterilized at that point. How can a rumen work with, under the pressure of this many antibiotics? But then I'm a producer. We feed 600, 700, 800 head of cattle ourselves, depending on the time of year. So I also understand that the calves are trying to die, and you're going to open up the medicine cabinet, and, you're going to put something in those calves. And so I was able to send one of our sales guys up. He was able to pull samples, had them to the house, and by 4 o'clock I had him an antibiotic plan that was 1 antibiotic. And yeah, here's how we're going to treat the clinicals. Here's what we're putting in the water. And then we're going to send the rest of our samples to the lab. And so, in 48 hours, we'll have a treatment plan. And like the clinical calves had already responded, right? At 24 hours, clinical calves were already responding because we had the right antibiotic in them. And so that's a blessing. And we'll know a little bit more about what he's fighting by the end of today. But was really able to bring the anxiety way down. This technology will allow us to manage disease in real time. At least the way I envision disease management, it's always been on the descending side of the bell curve. If we remember from, high school math, there's a bell curve, and you've got an ascending side of the bell curve and a descending side of the bell curve. And then, as a general rule, I believe that veterinarians get included in a disease curve somewhere between the apex and the descending side of the curve. So we rarely ever get to see the ascending side. And then the vast majority of our disease management plan is on the descending side of the curve. And to me, calves basically have 4 health outcomes. They can return to normal, they can return to near normal, they can be culled, become a chronic cull, or they can be dead. Those are kind of the 4 places they go. And because we get to the outbreak so late and diagnostics takes so long, we rarely have an opportunity to make a meaningful impact on a lot of those outcomes. But with the technology that Heritage and Krishi working together are able to develop, we're going to completely shift management of disease to the ascending side of the bell curve.
And that excites you, doesn't it?
Oh, it's going to get a little bit crazy, yeah. Because the other thing that at the same time, technology has reached the point where you can put health monitoring ear tags in baby calves, in feedlot animals. They have enough value now that you can put health monitoring tags in a feedlot animal. And while a pen writer with a lot of experience may be very, very good at identifying disease, cattle are prey animals, and for sure they will hide disease for at least 24 to 48 hours prior to a good pen writer finding them. And the feedlots and the farms that have incorporated health monitoring will tell you that we treat 1 to 2 days earlier than we ever have before.
Sure.
So bring in SHERPA vision and lay that beside it. And all of a sudden, I get to play on the ascending side of the bell curve. That has never happened that I can really think of. I mean, when you put the two together, I believe that we will actually be able to manage herd disease, herd outbreaks on the ascending side of the curve. And when you do that, and you do it well, your 4 outcomes, you should skew towards, a return to full health or at least a return to marketable health. You may add 10 days on feed, but still end up with a yield 2 choice carcass. And so that is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And also scary, because the D's and the S's are going to be, 1, very, very skeptical, and 2, it moves really quick. Right? I mean, I had a Salmonella Dublin outbreak in a herd back at the first big warm up, and the herd owner identified that the group was starting to break on a Wednesday afternoon. I had samples on Thursday morning. We had them treated on Thursday afternoon. There were no deads. There were no culls. And the owner's vet called me 3 or 4 different times wanting to know what my diagnostics were. And I said, well, I didn't send diagnostics. I said, we swabbed them. When I saw the SHERPA profile, I pretty much knew that we were dealing with the salmonella because I'd seen that profile before, and it correlated with salmonella. And we treated them, and we vaccinated them. And, I mean, in 36 hours, we were back.
Wow.
I mean, the group was back to their full diet. They came right back on feed. And he's like, well, what about the deads? And I said, there are no deads. Well, I mean, he can't imagine being able to manage disease in 4 to 6 hours. I mean, if you call me at 7:30 every morning, by 1:30 we have a plan.
Wow, the speed.
And the plan has a high correlation with success. I mean, it's not, nothing's ever going to be 100%, but we're not guessing anymore.
Right.
I mean, we have a high correlation with success. And so the veterinarians as a whole are going to struggle with that speed a lot. I mean, good veterinarians still get paralyzed. They want to analyze. And I'm like, well, the data is really, really clear. This is the antibiotic we need to be on, and these are the tests that we need to run. And in another 24 hours, we should know what's causing it, but we should already have a treatment in place. I mean, I've used this machine, tested some cattle that had been treated with antibiotic A that did not respond to antibiotic A when the SHERPA said they should.
Oh. And
I went, there's a PI in the group. Well, do you think we should test them? And I said, absolutely. I said, the test says that antibiotic A should have been therapeutic. You should have had some recovery. Well, they looked better for a little bit, but then they regressed right back.
Okay.
And I went, I said, there's a PI. Well, we'll get them snapped. And so we snap them, and there's a PI in that group, 1 out of 80. And as soon as that PI is gone, then all of a sudden, here comes the group back. They don't just snap back. It's not like a spring, but every day they get better.
Wow.
And so they didn't have an antibiotic resistance problem. They had an immune suppression problem. But it would have taken, for sure, it would have taken me 3 or 4 more days to convince that grower that we really needed to notch those calves. But I went, nope. I said, antibiotic A should have been therapeutic. All right, because nobody, wants to go catch up 80 calves and notch them all. But when you're that suspicious, I was able to confidently say we have to rule this out because I trust my technology enough to know that there should have been a better response. And so that's fun. I mean, that's fun. That's very, very fun.
The speed at which you can go from identifying a problem to having a solution to seeing a recovery. How many days did you just take out of that equation?
4.
4 days.
At minimum.
What can happen in 4 days?
A lot of death.
A lot of death.
Right. Well, I mean, you begin, the dead pool is going to go up, the chronic pool will go up, and the return to health, but with some setback. I mean, those pools are just going to continue to grow. And so some cattle are going to get it and get over it and return to normal and never miss a beat. But today, livestock are worth so much money that we spend a lot of time and effort on those fringe animals.
Yeah.
And you can make huge economic impact by placing the right antibiotic in the right place at the right time. And then partnering that with vaccine therapy, because that'll be next. I mean,
yeah.
So
you've seen some pretty cool advancements in your time as a vet, including some that just in the more recent years here have moved light years forward with diagnostics and treatment and overall prevention for better animal health. When you really step back and you look at some of those opportunities and challenges that both dairy producers and vets together face, how does that look for you? What are some of the biggest challenges you see right now and in the next few years for farmers and vets?
I'll stick with the animal health side. I mean, I feel like as we do a better job taking care of cows, as production increases, their disease will change, and how we manage disease is going to change. And I like to think of myself as an amoeba. I am willing to learn and adapt and try new things and admit failure, which is good and bad. Sometimes I'm too willing to change, and I skew towards changing too much versus not changing enough. So the challenges are going to be real. I mean, we're going to have 110 to 125 pound herds. Yeah. We're working to get our vaccine technology honed in. Like I said, veterinarians have never managed disease on the ascending side of a bell curve. And I have no idea how the industry is going to accept that. I mean, there's going to be veterinarians that absolutely fight it tooth and nail, and there's going to be veterinarians that accept it and begin to utilize the technology. And I'm very, very excited by it. But it is going to be change. But it's I mean, we're going to have a couple of years of a shift in our mindset paradigm. Yeah. Yeah. Towards retrospect, towards looking in the rearview mirror versus looking in the windshield. And it's my opinion that we've always managed disease in the rearview mirror. And I think we're going to be able to change that.
And that is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's also humbling. Yeah, because, not every decision will be right, but we're going to make more right ones than wrong ones. And so learning and adapting is going to be my mantra for the next, probably for the next 25 years. So.
And learning and adapting, nothing new to your day-to-day of solving problems as a veterinarian.
Yes, ma'am.
But also, you have a pretty dynamic life outside of veterinary practice. You had mentioned this before, but between family and kids, and also you like to play around with a few steers and cows and different things at your place.
Feed a few cows, feed a few calves. Yeah, we bought quite a few in the last. I bought 11 yesterday, so I think we're somewhere right around 770. I need to probably buy another 60 or 80, and get everybody filled back up.
Yeah,
but
you keep your hands on production and practice all at the same time, don't you?
So
how does it make you better at what you do?
I can, for sure, I see the perspective both sides. I tell everybody, I have a farmer sitting on one shoulder and a veterinarian sitting on the other.
So which one's the angel, which one's the devil?
Well, it depends on the day, right? I think it helps with your credibility, right? Absolutely. I know it helps with credibility. Back, for instance, PI testing. Nobody likes PI testing. We don't like notching baby calves, and we don't like sending it in. Mm-hmm. And, you have so many negatives, right? There's so many of them that are not PIs, right? Now, the PI is very expensive. When you get one, it's expensive. But, I get the producer side, the animal caretaker side that hates the task and hates, getting that report and thinking, well, I just wasted all that money because those 100 calves are good, right? But I've also been a part of, the cattle are not responding to treatment. They're depressed, they're off feed, they're not thriving, so the veterinarian side is saying, get them calves tested, get them tested on arrival, do not wait, just get it done. The farmer side says, it's a cost, maybe this group's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
you
so
see
I
both
I
sides.
see it both. Yeah, I see it both ways. And so I have the perspective. I'm gonna go write a straw check today, and you're like, how much straw should you really put down for big fat steers? Well,
You're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out because I'm gonna have to write that check, and that straw's gonna have to last for a year. And so, yep. All those costs are real. Yeah. It's easy to say put another 40 fans in the barn. It's a whole lot harder to write that electric check every month. The fans are the cheap part. It's the electric bill that really kills you. And so
tell me just a little bit about your kids, your family, and how they're involved.
Yeah, so 5 children, 15 to 4. So we've got 7 big steers and 8 or 9, feeder steers and a couple of dairy heifers and some goats going. So all the children pretty much have chores. My 15-year-old looks like me, acts a lot like me, but does not have a lot of animal interest. So she runs all my SHERPA tests. So she's my SHERPA technician. Does an excellent job with that. Not a good calf feeder, but by golly, lab technician. She can run BVD snaps.
Yeah.
And she can run SHERPA tests. My 11-year-old loves animals. She's not going to want to manage people. She's not going to want to do anything like what I do. But if you were to give her a calf barn, she would make you very, very nice calves.
That's her zone.
That is her zone. Yeah.
So oldest one, no on the calves. Next
one, very
give her
good.
the calves, all the babies.
Yeah. My middle boys, they love to go to the woods. They love anything to do with knives, digging in the dirt, chopping down trees. They still do their chore. They still have their chores. I'm like, But yeah, and then the baby loves, the 4-year-old loves everything about cattle. I mean, he gets up every morning and he goes and inspects his calf huts, and he's my consultant. He can tell you, whose water bucket's dirty. He can tell you who's out of feed. He can tell you which hut needs bedding. And so, yeah, and he is spoiled, and so yeah, it could well be I don't know what he's going to do. If he maintains the same level of interest in cattle, even half as much at 14 as he has at 4, then we're gonna have to expand some more.
Yeah. And so, when you think about that, once again, your kiddos and how they'll remember Dad and what you do, the difference that you've made, not just for them, but in the many people that you serve. If you could really drill it down into one thing that you hope that they remember, not so much about your career, but truly about the way that you have made a difference, the example that you set through your work, what would that be?
Well, I mean, love the Lord and love others would be the thing. I mean, helping anyone with anything. Yeah, I mean, if you got a flat tire, or whatever it is. I mean, I had a customer call me one night, and he goes, my son put his truck in a ditch 1.5 miles from the house. And I said, Ed, I'll be there in a 1.5 minutes. And make sure everybody's all right. And when I know everybody's all right, we'll go get, the backhoe, and we'll get some chains, and we'll drag this truck out of the ditch. And so it doesn't have to be about cattle. It's a lot about community. Yeah, I don't like euthanizing old dogs, but if you're kind of in the greater Moreland area, and I don't care what day of the week, or if it's nights or mornings or whatever, but I mean, if the old dog needs put down, you bring it up to the house, and we'll sedate your dog and let you say goodbye to it. And then, I mean, my boys have to go dig a hole for him. So we will put your puppy out in the pasture, and I don't know. I think it helps the boys. It helps the boys, learn to be empathetic. That's, yeah. I mean, I think we all need to bury a pet now and then in our life. It kind of keeps you humble, and makes you learn to appreciate what you have. And so, yeah. So those are just kind of, small. I mean, that's not a big thing, right? But in your community
are the big
right?
Things,
Yeah,
right?
in your
taking care of people,
in your community,
showing up.
Yep, taking care of your neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that. Yeah, even above the cattle and above the job, and and everything else that we do. I mean, to me that's most important. So.
Yeah. And sounds like you do that pretty intentionally too, Kyle. And so I have 3 questions to wrap up our conversation today.
All right.
These are short answer questions. Finish this sentence. The best cattlemen and the best veterinarians have one thing in common.
Oh, learning to adapt. Yeah, learning and adapting.
Do you want to expand on that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, weather changes. Yeah, had a discussion a year ago with a producer that kept telling me, well, we're doing it the same way we've always done it. And I said, I'm sorry, but nothing in agriculture is the same as you've always done it. Every cutting of alfalfa is a little different. Every growing season is a little different. Every year the weather will be a little different. Learning to adapt.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you think that that you're going to raise livestock, I mean, we breed better animals than we've ever bred in the history of the world, right? So we're going to have to adapt how we take care of them.
And that's where you say learning and adapting.
Learning and adapting.
Constant.
Yes, all
All
the
right. Next question. What's one mistake you see producers make that has nothing to do with cows and everything to do with leadership? This taps into your natural skill set of teamwork and people. What do you see?
Well, I mean, as of course in the dairy industry specifically, as dairymen came out of the parlor and employees went in, I mean, dairymen are not naturally good at managing others. For the most part, there's some that are excellent, but I think establishing the culture on the farm, and I think that's hard for a lot of dairymen. You know, that in their formative years, it may have been a very isolating career. I mean, you milked cows twice a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not have gone out and experienced what a business and a team operating inside a business outside of your little dairy. You may not have a lot of experience with that, but establishing a good culture on the farm is a challenge, but is also, I think, very, very rewarding. So, yeah.
All right. And last question for you. If you could leave one message for the next generation of veterinarians, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, most veterinarians are going to be D's and DS's, and so yeah, rely on your eyes, I guess. Yeah, be watching, for those people in the farms that you're working with, or inside your veterinary group, who has the strength of bringing people together, who has the strength of thinking outside the box, right? Because, I need my D's to bring me back, and my D's need me, to broaden their vision some. And so I think that would be my number one takeaway is look for the opportunities, within your group to make a meaningful impact.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Dr. Kyle Becker, is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything that we missed in our conversation today?
No, it's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day.
I do love the smell of calves. If you're listening to the podcast, we're sitting in a calf barn, right?
This is your happy place.
This is my happy place, yeah. A little bit of whiff of calf manure. That's a real good place to be.
But a healthy whiff.
That's a healthy
whiff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to visit with us today here in Indiana, because we know that you are not only serving your veterinary clients and others within the practices to connect and to help solve problems together, but you also have cattle you got to get back home to and a county fair to get geared up for.
We select stalls tonight, so our county fair is relatively small, so we bring about half the animals, but no, it's good fun. It's a couple of days to go to the fair and have a little fun.
Absolutely.
As a family.
Well, Kyle, anything else you want to add today?
No, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for listening to the Uplevel Dairy Podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to follow the show, share this episode with your friends in the dairy community, and leave a review. At Uplevel Dairy, we're here to highlight the leaders, the lessons, and the real-world experiences that are shaping the future of our dairy industry. Find more by following us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for behind-the-scenes content and upcoming guests. And subscribe at upleveldairy.com to get new episodes and our Dairy Insights blogs right in your inbox. I'm Peggy Coffeen, and until next time, keep on learning, keep on leading, and keep up-leveling your dairy.